The production level of the Drag Race Espana talent shows honestly need to be studied. They put so much investment into every single one of these talent shows that it really blows my mind how much they are able to do. And it's very clear to me that they care a lot about these queens and the perception that fans will have of them. They set them up for as much success as possible. Hi, hello everyone. My name is Jer, and today we are going to be talking about the Drag Race Espana Season 5 talent show. Initially, I wasn't going to watch this episode in its entirety. I was just gonna kind of skim it and see what I was missing. My content creation plate is kind of full right now. But I got to that talent show because that's what I was going to watch, was so blown away that I pretty much watched from the very beginning. I will say that the closed captioning was having a lot of problems and not keeping up, so there were some nuances that I definitely missed in the talent show. I tried turning on the dub to see if that would help clarify some things. That was inconsistent as well. So a couple of these, I don't have full breadth of what was happening, but I tried to use my best context clues for them. I'm gonna be ranking each one of these to my personal tastes. Crystal Forever starts us off, and this was fantastic energy, I think, for the beginning of the entire talent show. It locked me in. Holy smokes, this was a great way to start off the night. Her energy was fantastic. I loved the light witchcraft at the beginning, especially after all the Venus drama like 2 weeks ago with Siam, accusing her of being a witch. It was just very funny in the Drag Race universe. These are two completely different continents, completely different stories, but it was just funny that they kind of are similar in the timeline. The production of that book that caught fire, and then the inflating costume, all of the dancers. This was so good. I cannot give it enough praise. I also don't know how to explain this properly, but Crystal Forever, when she performs, has Melinda Verga energy, and I'm kind of obsessed with that. In my personal opinion, this shut down the party for me. This was number 2. Ava Harrington is next, doing a Jessica Rabbit number. I feel like when the energy of the song picked up, her energy also adjusted in a more positive direction. I kind of feel like that first half could have been scrapped. I wasn't really connecting with it. I think her energy was pretty solid. It is hard going after Crystal Forever. I will preface that I think even performances that I thought were maybe less exciting than others, I think were still better than even one of the best performances on a current Drag Race season, because all they're doing on the US seasons are lip syncing these days. They're not delivering exciting performances. Yay. So even if I thought maybe this was less energetic than Crystal's, it was better than anything I saw on All Stars 10. I put this at number 8 in the ranking. La Escandalo is next, doing a sex education number to If You're Happy and You Know It, including grinder sounds, was so insane, but it's the level of camp that I am always here for. This is the style of performance that I love to see. I feel like a lot of the modern Drag Race audience love to see this. They want to see a windmill, they want to see a death drop, they want to see some voguing, they want to see some duck walking, they want to see all of that kind of exciting ballroom energy. And I love that. But I also love some camp and humor, and especially when it's done well. I think the color choice that she used for hiding the dancers was great. I loved those color pops. I think her costume was really fun. And overall, I loved her concept. I think it was bold and exciting. This was honestly my number 1. In the entire night, this was the one that impressed me the most. It's a lip syncing number, and I critiqued that just a few seconds ago that that's what we usually get in the US, but this was actually hilarious and informative. The moment where she was listing off STIs made me gutturally laugh. This was fantastic. Daphne Mugler is next, doing a beautiful ballerina tribute, being locked up in the box, being released from her chains. It was all very soft and lovely, but then the instrumentation starts to shift to Toxic. And Toxic's been getting a pretty big revival lately, as so I've noticed. So this was very topical, and it tapped into what I'm noticing trending right now. I thought it was a really beautiful performance that she was able to take a high energy song, something that everybody knows, and still managed to keep poise and elegance as the forefront with her dancing. And when the dancers picked her up and she was swimming through the air, that gobsmacked me. My mouth dropped. This was my number 3 in the ranking. Margarita Califata is next, doing a plate spinning number. There was a little mishap at the very end of it where one of the plates didn't do what it was supposed to do. I don't think that took away from the overall spectacular performance that she did. What I liked the best about it was honestly this costume. I love this white latex with that effect of like a green and purple paint splatter, also in latex. It was really eye-pleasing, and so that helped me stay plugged into the performance because the visuals were solid that I wanted to just keep scrolling up and down and looking. And then she infused camp and comedy into the number while also doing something that I think is a genuine talent. Plate spinning is something that not a lot of people can do, and I think in this lineup, this was such a fun and whimsical performance that it made number 5 in my ranking. Nyx is next, doing a roasting reading talent show. I think it's always complicated when you try to do a reading or roasting comedy performance as your talent show. I think it works best in an all-star situation where you already know everyone in the room, but even then it's risky because you're changing the entire tone of the room from whatever was before you to harshly shifting into pay attention and listen and hope that you get a good laugh in there. When you don't know anybody to start out, you don't know the judges, they don't have any type of rapport with you, you either have to be so funny that it forgives that you don't have any level of rapport with them, or you bomb. And I think unfortunately this was just not funny. This was one of the few performances where the captioning was actually working the way that it was supposed to, so I was able to understand the jokes and I just didn't think they were effective. This set had a lot of promise, but it really needed some finessing. It was in number 11 in my ranking. Denebola Murnau is next. Visually, I think this was fantastic, but once again, the subtitles were failing me. I could make out a couple words here and there, and I kind of got that it was all art is valid type of scenario. I think it was visually beautiful, but I don't know if the visuals were quite enough to keep me locked in and engaged. The panel and the cast seemed to be emotionally affected by this, and I think that helped inform that this was in fact a good number, but I simply just don't have the tools to know how effective it was. I think all of that aside, visually, that was the best part. This is the queer art that Megami wanted us to protect. For me, para mí, it was number 9. Nori is next. Ugh. I think objectively, this was the weakest number of the night. I think making a minute dress to a cover of Survivor is such a cool concept if you can execute it exceptionally well. We've seen Bianca Del Rio at the season 6 premiere tour do a minute dress. We saw Raja in All Star 6 do a minute dress, and she infused comedy into that number and then put together a pretty stunning garment. This took a long time to get off the ground. I liked where it started story-wise of her being in the bath. For some reason, someone robs her and takes her clothes. I don't know. I think the plot got a little lost, but then when she went over to start making the garment, I thought what was really cool was that they had created kind of an old-timey sewing machine and tacked that on to make the visuals look like it was happening many decades ago. Thought that was fun. Going behind the screen to change and having the silhouette there was such a great idea. Like conceptually, all the building blocks were there, but when it all got put together, it was just off. It took so long to be presented that it lost all of its effectiveness, and even when we saw it, it wasn't even that good. Sorry. It was number 12 in my ranking. Farhan is next. God damn, the beat on this song was incredible, and I agree with Supreme. I think that they are going to sell a lot of this song and make a lot of money from it, and I hope they do, because I would listen to this many times. I will say the performance had me wanting a bit more. I wasn't as impressed with the performance, I think, as the judges were. They seemed to really love it and connect with it. I didn't. I liked the song more than I liked the execution. I wasn't a fan of the look. I didn't think it was cohesive. And then when that mullet came out, I'm like, what is this? It just didn't work visually for me. But I think the building blocks to create really spectacular performances are there. I'm sure once Farhan sees themselves on TV, everything will get amplified, and I can't wait to see what this performer is going to do in like a year. To me, the performance was number 10, but I think this was one of the best songs. If I wasn't looking at it, it would be number 1. Satine Greco is next. Woo. This was an emotional performance that made me get goosebumps as well. It held its own as a number that had no special effects. There were no dancers on the stage to distract from her. There was no crazy backdrop, just something very simple and elegant, and then her costuming was spectacular. I am a slut for fringe. I think her hair looked beautiful, and I loved how plugged in she was. She just radiates this energy that she is grateful to be there, and that energy was infectious. Where I think she really won was on the runway, because that was next level. For me, she was number 4 in the ranking. And again, I just love that she was able to hold her own without any other gimmicks, just a solidly good performance. And on its best days on regular Drag Race, the girls that are just up there lip syncing to something are not able, I think, to convey enough emotion that it seeps through the camera, grabs at the audience and pulls them in. And that's what she was able to do exceptionally well. I see her going very far in this competition. Laka Udia is next. So this might get me some flack because I thought this was a pretty solid number. It is a sailor and siren number where she is singing and the boys are dancing. I loved the homosexuality of it all. I loved the of it all. It was just a beautiful and powerful performance to me. She did have some pitch issues, and I do think that should be recognized. It was not the most perfect vocal performance, but I kind of love that I don't give a energy, electro-bionicness about her. And then visually, this package of looking so Wamana and femme with this powerful mustache, it just worked cohesively for me, despite some of the technical issues. And then the set that they used for this performance was also crazy. Like, what do you mean they had the production investment to create this? I think it was all really spectacular, and so it landed at number 6 for me. And then last out is Alexandra de Raval. It was a fun and silly number. I think she looked beautiful in lilac. That costume was expensive looking. And I gotta respect a queen who's willing to get messy with their drag, especially taking chocolate cake and smearing it all over their face, all over their costume, which probably cost them tons of money and will never get cleaned correctly. And then to smear their legs, like that had to have been its own set of padding just to smear the cake on it that probably now has to get thrown out. It was that refined filth that I think a lot of the Dragula ghoulies try very hard to do, but aren't able to have the finesse to create something that's sort of glam filth. They just go gross with it. And it's very hard to create glam filth, but that's what she did with this performance. I really connected to it. It was number 7 in my ranking. So what did y'all think about this talent show? In my opinion, it was so good. I'm glad that it was a celebratory top 2 because everyone honestly knocked it out of the park. It shut down the party, and I think that Drag Race Espana needs to be studied by every single franchise because the way that production invests in them is so next level. I was glad to see it. I'm not sure if I'll be reviewing this season in its entirety or if I'll just be covering quick highlights. There's a lot on my content creation plate right now, but I will do my best to cover as much of this season as possible. Thank you for watching. I will see y'all on the flip.